So let's start looking at that. So if he exists outside of the universe, or, I mean, Elohim has no true gender. So calling him a he is mostly for our own doing, meaning so that we can feel better about addressing him. Okay? Now, you're going to say, oh, but God told us all of this. Yeah. Let's go ahead and examine that right there. So, you're taking a man who does not understand a whole lot yet at that time. Yes, he walks, he farms, he herds animals. He has no real technology yet. He has no grasp of technology-based language yet. So do you think that describing 100,000 years to that person is really going to be accurate? You are still based upon the communication capabilities of both parties. Imagine yourself trying to talk to an Aboriginal person right now. I mean, if you ran into an Aborigine in Australia, yes, they would look at you and go, yeah, we know what a lighter is. We know what that air bird that flies overhead made of metal is. We have no use for it, though. But what if you ran into, say, one of these tribes in South America jungle of Brazil? The ones that keep getting displaced by deforestation to create roads through there, which I'm not sure we really need roads through a jungle. But that's for a different discussion altogether. What I want you to do is think of, if you ran into one of them that's, until that big bulldozer ran through their village, they've had no interaction with modern man, modern woman. Heck, maybe the Christian missionaries haven't even gotten there yet. So they have no idea. So now you show up with a giant machine that's bulldozing. Somebody comes flying, running at you with a sharpened stick, and you pull out a weapon and dispatch them fairly quickly with a bang and a pop from 50 feet away. They're going to think you're a god by their standards. Are you? Well, as much as Joel Osteen and Kenneth Copeland and all those others that want to teach you that prosperity is about money and that you're a little god, brings about a line from a movie that I always like is this big green guy is taking another guy and flopping him around like he's a sock you're trying to turn inside out and you don't really want to mess with it too much. And then as he walks away, he says, puny god. I mean, if there's only one such thing as one god, which is another discussion, really is, then it would be kind of a little bit awkward to have have that sort of discussion, especially if there is only one God. So, either way, unless you can start doing miracles such as, making 1,000 of yourself to confuse you know, a man in a red and gold suit that can fly. Oh, even if he is using thrusters. If you want to try and make it so he can't figure out which one of you there is, unless you can do something like that, you're definitely no God. So, let's establish Elohim, or God by any name that you wish to use, including Allah, cannot exist in this corporeal, flesh world. If he does, his state of pure energy, maybe even bigger than this universe. I mean, if he is so big that he encompasses everything, then by all means, he wouldn't fit in here anyways either. But his own nature would be harmful to you. He cannot interact with you directly without destruction. So, let's start off with the fact that this world is way more than 10,000 years old. Way more than millions of years old. Back when the book was scribed onto scrolls, man didn't even know how to make paper yet. A process as simple as taking ground up wood, soaking it in water, and mashing it together, and then letting it dry. I want you to realize that is basic paper. Man didn't even do that. You hear about the scrolls, the papyrus. Look at that up at what it is. It is the reed and grass along the Nile River that is then taken and woven so that they could write on it. I'm just wanting you to understand that. So how does a being that can traverse, trillions of miles through space, be outside of this universe, and yet in it at the same time without being in it? How is he going to explain things without ruining your innocence? Because here is what my take on the original sin was. Because Elohim knew we were going to sin to begin with. That original sin of taking the apple from the tree. Now, an apple, other than being a crab apple that you should not eat too many of, is not harmful to you, for the most part. I mean, there's some people that are probably allergic, and for them it would be harmful. But for the most part, an apple is not harmful. But in this case, the sin of taking it when you were told not to. Until that time, Adam and Eve, or whatever name you want to give them, but Adam and Eve is fine. I have no qualm with, or qualm with it, I should say. They did not know what sin was until that time. How do you know if you live in light if you've never seen darkness? How do you know you live in darkness if you've never seen light? Let's start with that first part. You don't. Until the lights have been switched off, you don't know what darkness could be. Because if you've always been in a light that casts away the darkness, you don't see it. Contrary, if the light's never been turned on and you never stepped out of the cave to see the sun, how would you know what light was until you've experienced it? So let's take that same lesson and look at sin. If everything is permissible except to take that one apple and eat it, how do you know what sin really is? Oh, but I'm being good by default. Yeah, just that, default. You want to be on the default settings? Do you use your phone on the default settings? Do you leave your TV on the default settings? Your coffee pot? Your car? Your stereo? What do you leave on default settings? Think about that and tell me. There's comments down below. Go ahead and tell me what you leave on default and say that that's good enough to be. Just leave it on default. You're going to probably think about, crap, I don't leave anything on default. So, question. Did you know the stove was hot before you accidentally touched it? Did you know that that candle was going to burn you before you reached over and your mom slapped your hand and said no? You probably didn't. And even though the man that was being told, I created this by Elohim, was still very much innocent. And that sin is the ruining of innocence by giving knowledge without wisdom. Why should I not do that? Just because I can take it, why shouldn't I take it? I can create this. Well, why should you not create that? I can take whatever I want. Well, why should you not take everything you want? Because you'll be taking it from someone else. Overall, he wants us to learn and treat everybody with love and basically get along without fighting. Are we going to have squabbles? Yes. That's why there is rules about how to take care of them, how to resolve them without destruction of things. And I don't mean just destroying the land by a war. How about the fact of oppressing each other and keeping one another from him? Oh, excuse me. What I'm trying to say in that one is, if we're supposed to love our brother, even if he's from another mother, and love our sister, even if she's from another mister, then that means we shouldn't be putting each other down. We should not be oppressing each other. But that's the problem. Our own nature. Pardon me there. Our own nature, as we are still animals, is to do that. Watch two dogs. Or even a whole pack of dogs. A whole litter. Even though they're all brothers and sisters. There'll clearly be a fully in charge one, and one that kind of goes over and sits on their own and is left out because nobody wants to play with that one. Okay? So, we as humans are still animal. But what sets us apart from those animals is our ability to think, rationalize, and go, oh, my brother over there needs a little help. I may not have anything to give him other than encouraging words, but instead of going over and saying, hey, you're doing it wrong, yeah, you're too stupid to do it, you should go over and go, hey, can I help you? Or if you see that they're doing it wrong, instead of being aggressive or telling them you're doing it wrong, go, hey, I know another way to do this. It might be a little simpler. Mind if I show you? Can I help you? Things like that. Anything else is pure greed. It really is. Because if you're going to go over and say, hey, you're doing it wrong, you're stupid, that's greed. It really is. Because it's making you feel better about telling them that. Doesn't make them feel better. Doesn't make anybody else around you feel better. Or if it does, they're just as bad. And that right there is the basis of greed and other problems. Because by you now telling them that and having crushed their feelings about what they were doing, and when I say that, I mean about the fact that I know personally that when somebody's gone and told me you're doing it wrong, you don't know how to do it, and things like that, it makes me just not want to even try anymore. I mean, for the longest time, people would tell me I was folding the towels wrong. So I said, screw it. I at least washed them. You get to figure out how to fold them and put them away if I can't do it right. And I just left them that way. I'd walk away. Same for clothing. You know what? After a little while, those people that were telling me I was doing it wrong, shut up and let me do it my way. Really did. Guess what? Laundry started getting folded and put away. Tell me I vacuumed the floors wrong. I quit vacuuming for so long that, oh crap, I forgot we even had a vacuum cleaner. Get the idea? So, you're not helping them when you do that, you're just making them give up. So instead of telling them that they're doing it wrong, or that they don't know what they're doing, take a couple of minutes and go, hey, I know a different way to do this. Let me show you. All it is about a way you say it. Still really the same message. Really is. Because maybe not guarantee, but a good portion of people, after you've shown them how to do it that easy way, as long as they can remember how to do it the next time, they'll do it that way the next time. Heard of a saying that applies. Monkey see, monkey do. Yes, the pause was on purpose. I want you to think about that. Humans learn best by both seeing and doing alongside. Which unfortunately is where we tend to get our herd mentality. The herd mentality. Are you a sheep or not? There's four basic types in my opinion. You have the herd, the sheeple. You have the wolves. I think you should be able to figure out what a wolf means in this case. Somebody who's going to prey upon people. Maybe not necessarily to kill them and eat them, but to take things from them or to traffic them or do whatever they want in such a way that benefits the person other than the person it's being done to. Then you have your dogs. The reason I say this is not everybody is cut out to be the one that I'm going to say afterwards. But they're not wolves either. They want to protect the sheep. And many times they do. So they protect the herd. The bulk of you. And me. The difference is you still need to have somebody tell you how to do it or show you, or you can only do a certain thing. Or there's the fourth type. And that's the shepherd. Now a shepherd is willing to spend time on one individual out of the herd to make sure that they get brought back in and allowed to grow and participate. You have, say, 100 sheep. The shepherd of those sheep might have dogs that watch them, but you still have a sheep that will wander away. Is the shepherd going to go, oh, well, I lost one, whatever? Or is he going to go, oh, well, I still have 99 over there that are still safe. I'm going to go find that one and bring them back. The shepherd is the one that will spend the time to go find that one and bring them back. Whereas the dog stands there with the herd to protect them from the wolves. The problem with even dogs is sometimes they get a little greedy themselves. I mean, if you've got 2 or 3 dogs, watch them eat. Even if they don't growl and bite at each other and fight over the food dish, you will have one that will eat more than the others. Even if they're all the same breed, the same size, the same age. You will have one that eats more, and you will have one that eats less. You'll have one that does get more of the other things like treats or whatever, and one that won't, because the one that takes more usually pushes the one that takes less out of the way. So just because somebody's a protector doesn't mean that they have everybody's well-being in their thoughts. They're wanting to make people's lives easier, yes, but they're also more inclined to think about their own life more. And then you have your shepherds who will go, that person needs help. And we'll spend the time helping that person. So I want to leave you with this. I'm going to call it at the end of this one for now. And we'll continue on here in a little bit with another. But I want you to think, what type of person are you? Are you a member of the herd? Are you a wolf? Are you a dog? Or are you a shepherd? And just because you think you're one doesn't necessarily mean you are. Because we cannot look at ourselves and accurately judge ourselves. Okay? But I want you to remember that the language in the book was from a being with a much greater understanding than us at the time. And our understanding now is much better than it was then. I bet if those same beings that we interacted with before, and I'm not saying aliens or anything like that. You know, the book does say we interacted with the angels. Well, however you want to see those angels, if we interacted with them, if they were to show up and give us the same interaction today, do you think that they would tell us, oh, it's 144,000 only? Or if they might say, you know what? You guys are going to lose 7 billion people, fighting over each other like this. And we are only going to save a few of you that actually get it right. I mean, the language that they would use now would probably be a lot more on par with our own understanding. And considering our understanding now is a lot greater than it was then, I'm pretty sure we would get told a lot more. So, which type of person are you? Until then, until later, I'm Brother Stephen.